Sorry that whenever I keep starting up, you see my black screen. Oops, oh well. His vision suddenly shook violently. Konoe could no longer stand and fell to his knees. Everything in his vision was spinning. He was choked by nausea. Saliva trickled from the corner of his lips and something bitter rose into his mouth. He heard a voice laughing in his head. Pitching high and low, it jeered amusedly as if mocking him. Red heat flickered behind his eyelids. While tortured by the nausea, Konoe slightly opened his eyes. A large hole had opened up in the sky. Excuse me, a hole? No. Was it distorted space? The hole rapidly swelled and gave birth to a black mass. Well, that's very strange. Okay! The mass spread like a piece of cloth, forming a shadow. That... Who was that? Hello? A quiet, low voice sounded through the tense air. The black shadow that floated in thin air now descended to the ground and stood. Feeling intense chills, Konoe tried to get up. Asato supported his back. I need someone to support my back too, because I've been shrimping for the past 2 hours. His tail was sore and swollen. Dangerous, a voice echoed from somewhere inside his head. This one is dangerous. Just over there, the air was tinged with venom. Tinged, sorry. The shadow purred in amusement. Firi! Konoe heard a high-pitched voice, then the sky warped once again. Firi appeared somersaulting in the air. As if descending on invisible steps, Firi's nimble body moved in mid-air and came down to the ground. Then, kneeling, he nestled close to the shadow. Yo, okay though, but this artwork, that clown be looking hella fine. Show me what you got. Konoe stared at the shadow by Firi's side. This one. The one who held Konoe's fate in his hands. The one who toyed with the lives of the weak like they were just playthings. The magician known as the Child of Darkness, Riksu. Yo, okay, but, hot? And I am getting some flashbacks from, when I was obsessed with this game, watching Let's Plays and, like, informing myself about it. But I am not completely sure, what to, I'm not completely sure what his backstory, but I have like a kind of suspicion that gnaws in my brain, but I really do not remember. But there is something there that's important. But damn, what a nice pet to have. Anyways, bearing the head-splitting pain, Konoe gritted his teeth. The air was heavy. Within his body, every imaginable emotion ranged. Not being able to show them was agonizing. Okay.
そうだな。これまで生きてきた時の100万分の1程度には。
Okay. Bruh. Yeah. The shadow. Reek's shoulders faintly shook as he laughed. Firi clapped both hands together in front of his chest and jumped up and down in joy. Something in my brain says me, oh yeah, Reeks is totally Konoe's father because they look so similar. I'm not even sure if I'm right or if there's like just my brain effing things up.
よかった。お前たちもよかったね。リークス様に喜んでもらえて。どうしてこんなことを。
言っただろう、ご兄だと。お前たちを歓迎する挨拶とでも言っておこうか。
Sure.
歓迎する挨拶。
Konoe glared at Leeks with all of his might.
奪われ壊されることを味わった上で、奪い殺すことはさぞ苦痛だっただろう。
ふざけるな。この村の猫たちがどんな思いで死んでいったか。
Riksu looked down at Konoe, a laugh quietly rumbling in his inside his throat.
リークス様が自ら歌ってくださったんだ。お前たちもっと喜べよ。
He's a sangha.
やはりあの歌は貴様か。お気に召していただけたかな。
Rai raised his head and fixed a sharp glare on Riksu.
サンガなのか。
はい。
Suddenly, Firi raised his head.
それ
Hand.
は俺。リークス様のサンガは俺。けどリークス様は自ら歌を生み出して歌うこともできるのさ。
Oh, that is actually. Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay. Wow. That's actually pretty fascinating. Firi put a hand on his waist and bowed, smiling proudly.
邪悪な歌だった。
Wow. Oh shit. Whoops. Sorry. Hello. Continue.
サンガの歌が力を与えるためのものならば、私の歌は服従させるためのものだ。
You know, this is kind of rude.
死者は操るにたやすい。強い後悔や未練を残した者は特にな。
He's an effing necromancer. Amazing. Riksu turned his face to Konoe.
誰よりも強く感じただろう。共感の作用で。
How do you know? As if responding to Konoe's shock, Riksu laughed.
お前のことはすべてわかっている。
Daddy, I mean, you've been watching me?
どういう。
Konoe tried to ask, but a dull headache made him frown. Asato gently supported Konoe's body with his hands and glared at Riksu.
お前がこの絵を苦しめてるのか。呪いのこともすべて。
苦しめているとは心外だな。これは試練だ。
Hesto.
何のために。
さてね、そこまで明かしてしまったら面白くないだろう。
I mean, I guess.
面白くないだと。呪いを解け。
Along with those words, Asato let out a low growl. Riksu slowly pointed to Konoe.
鍵はお前自身が握っている。間もなく訪れる大きな転機を無事くぐり抜けることができるかどうか。すべてはお前次第だ。
Very ominous, okay. Turning point. While an indistinct pain pierced his temples, Konoe listened to Leek's every word.
4色の光に満ちたち開くべき扉はそこにある
Ah? Leek's jet black body rose up.
逃がすか
Rai thrust his long sword at Leek's. Although Rai seemed to have struck him, Leek's body simply split into two. Illusion? His departing body became thick fog, then gathered once again into a black globe.
今はまだその時ではない
Hot. Overlapping voices and laughter resounded.
残念でしたっと。じゃあまたね。
With a high leap, Firi somersaulted and vanished.
待て
Rai began to run after the floating shadowy orb. The orb disappeared into the depths of the village, to where Kono was going north towards the forest. Enduring the pain in his body, Kono pursued it with Asato. Yo, okay. Running into the forest, he heard the sound of the thicket shaking. Whether it was Rai standing there or something else, he couldn't judge, even with his ears clear. Where were Elix and Ray?
手分けして探そう。
体は大丈夫なのか
Is your body okay? Yeah, it is okay.
あ、
His body was still tortured with pain, but he had no time to worry about that. There was only the strong resolution to go after Rix. Luckily, the forest so far didn't seem to be spread out too much. Separating from Asato, Konoe dashed through the grove of trees. Scanning for sounds with his ears, he searched every corner of his surroundings. At that moment, empathy. Suddenly his heart pulsed loudly, and before his eyes was pitch darkness. As if swallowed up by the darkness, he was not able to see anything. There was a slight buzzing in his ears, and suddenly he felt a wind near them. No, not a wind, a sigh.
コンクラベをしようこの絵お前と私
No? Directly through his head ran a whispering voice. Deeks. Konoe firmly closed his eyes, then opened them as if to shake off the voice. His field of vision cleared of the darkness. The scene of the deep green forest returned. When he became aware of this, he dropped to the ground on his knees, the claws of both hands scratching at the dirt. Konoe sprang to his feet and surveyed his surroundings. However, he didn't sense anything. His name had been spoken. Deeks had said it was a test of endurance. Like an auditory hallucination, that was certainly the voice of Deeks. Where was he? Konoe turned around as he felt an intense bloodlust. Two shadows jumped out from inside the grove of trees. He's like probably everywhere. If he's an entity that has lived for thousands of years, then, well... The shadows landed in a crouched posture, and slowly their bodies rose up. Their tattered coats fluttered about in the wind. Their hoods worn low over their eyes concealed them, but Konoe knew these shadows by eye. They were the twins from the Ransen alley. Each of the two cats removed his hood. Konoe saw two identical faces smile at him.
また会った。また会ったね。
He heard their laughter twofold. Konoe stared at the two and asked as he gripped his sword with both hands.
どうしてお前たちがここにいる？
だってな。
ね
Exchanging a glance, the two cats turned their gazes to Konoe at the same time.
リークス様の命令だからな。
It worked for him.
おとなしくしてもらわないとね。
Well, F you. These guys were Rik's underlings as well. With a foreboding of a battle, Konoe felt irritation. The other party was a Sangha and a Toga. There was no way he could fight them by himself. To make matters worse, even now, the unidentifiable pain in his body continued. It would be hopeless to oppose them now.
今日は一人か。
銀色のはどこ行った？
一人で勝てるのか？
殺しちゃうよ。
Throwing these amused words, Kira took out his sword and Uru hoisted up one arm. This couldn't be happening. Konoe didn't want to turn his back. His feelings decided. He prepared his sword. Inside his head, even now, a sharp pain pounded. Uru's claws ran over the reddish-brown wounds smeared all over his arm. They were the same from that time they had fought in that back alley, and a blood melody began. The thicket to Konoe's immediate sight shook with a rustling sound. Isasato. I don't like Rei. Arrogant bitch. Sorry. Appearing from the middle of the thicket was Asato. The brown body that had slipped into the darkness just now has suddenly soared back out. Kira and Uru's movement stopped. Konoe was amazed as well, and he gazed at Asato's figure.
コノエ、大丈夫か？
こっち、
リークスの手下だ。
誰か。
リークスの敵ということか。
Asato glared at the twin cats, but suddenly turned a curious gaze in Konoe's direction.
どうした？
いや、
When asked, Konoe quickly averted his eyes. He was unconsciously gazing at Asato. Was he relieved that Asato appeared? Actually, he felt that Asato was reliable. As Konoe drowned out these deplorable thoughts, the enemy assembled before his eyes.
そいつだ。
新しい塔が？
早くやろうよ。
やろうよ。
The twins' amused voices became gleeful.
アサト、
Suckers.
俺が歌うから、お前は戦え。
歌を。
Asato opened his eyes wide in surprise and fell silent.
どうした？
When asked, Asato perked up his ears and gave a small laugh.
初めてだ。サンガと組むのは。コノエが歌ってくれるなら、俺は負けない。
He's such a baby, I love him. At this response, Konoe felt horribly embarrassed.
いいから、前向け。
At Konoe's brusque tone of voice, Asato obeyed in delight. Pulling himself together, Konoe now wondered how he would sing. Could he do it by himself? However, they could not win if he didn't sing. To win, he had to sing. Konoe took a deep breath and closed his eyes. Just before his field of vision was blocked out, he was able to see Uru claw at his arm once again. He remembered the feeling when he sang in that glade. He wanted to sing a tender melody. Wrapped around his body was a very hot white flame. No power was needed to be a Sangha. No fighting spirit, no bloodlust. Only a heart that yearned for the toga. Konoe breathed slowly, his breaths and the pulsing of his heart intertwining. Before long there was rhythm, and little by little, from inside, a melody was born. And he desired. It was hope, not slaughter. Living together, in order to live, protect the toga. This was the Sangha song. He began to hear the faint melody. Deep within his body, a small red flame was lit. From the tip of his fingers to the tip of his tail, a modest heat was sent forward. Then a light emitted from the body, became slender bundles of several threads and flowed into his toga. Asato. Konoe hazily opened his eyes. Ah, the cuties, look at them. Ah! The particles of light enveloped Asato, and Konoe could see him readying his sword. Against the melody strummed by his body, the one heard in the distance was a melody of dark blood. Uru's red blood trickled down, and he sang as if he were screaming. A stream of green light wrapped around Kido's body.
お前サンガだったのか。知らなかったよ、不吉な猫。負けないよ、お前には。俺とキルは絶対だ。
Both toga dashed towards each other. Far away, the sound of clashing blades resounded. Even that added color to the melody. Seeing a green light whenever Kido wielded his sword, Konoe knew Kido was receiving the wind's assistance. Asato was wholly enshrouded in a pale light, his movements becoming faster by the second. Taking a low stance, Asato leapt towards Kido and swung his large sword with both hands. Treating a wind sprung forth by his feet, Kido immediately jumped back. Like a monster's, Asato's low growling voice resounded. He bared his sharp fangs, a dark light of bloodthirst residing in his pupils. Kicking off from a tree trunk, Kido leapt forward once more. This attack was repelled by Asato's sword and directed behind him. The spark produced flashing brightly. Kido revolved in midair and landed on the ground. Sorry. Asato dashed, swinging his sword up, aiming the instant Kido left an opening. The tip of the sword touched Kido's abdomen for an instant, but a wind gushing forth became a shield and blocked Asato's attack. As Asato took these attacks, shocks reverberated through Konoe as well. The Sangha and the Toga actually felt it as if they were one body. If the connection between their hearts grew deeper, would he feel it even more? The pain of the Toga was the pain of the Sangha.
やるな、お前のサンガ。呪われた猫のくせになかなかだ。でも、ウルは負けないよ。
Kido shouted to them and laughed. Suddenly I threw stuff down. Suddenly Uru produced a changed melody. When he looked, Konoe saw that Uru's arm was so strained with red it was hard to know what skin still remained. Uru's expression turned from ecstasy to agony. Uru created more wounds on his arm, singing while he tore at himself. Kido's movements appeared to receive even more protection from the wind, and Asato began to press back little by little. To be pressed back, sorry. The strength of a Sanga's thoughts was to grant power to the Toga. Winds invisible to the eye, produced by Kido's swing and sword, swooped down on Asato. He didn't see any openings. Quickly unleashing attacks in rapid succession, many small, hollow blades produced by the swing of Kido's sword barreled towards Asato. The fight quickly turning to a defensive one, Konoe experienced a slight irritation. Then, he should aid Asato with his own song too. He thought about it but didn't know what he could do. At any rate, he had no choice but to try. If the Sangha hesitated, the Toga would lose. Steadying his breathing, Konoe closed his eyes. In the darkness behind his eyelids, he knew Asato and Kido's battle like the palm of his hand. It was because their song connected them. Finally, green and white lights were brought forth from the darkness. They were the songs that Asato and Kido each were shrouded in. The shining green light overflowed the white light, and the white light was steadily becoming extinguished. At this rate, they would lose. I don't want to lose. Leeks' laughing voice revived in the depths of his ears. He had said it was a test of endurance. No matter what, they could not lose. Again, the white flame rose from inside Konoe's body. The flame accelerated little by little, gaining momentum and forming a rhythm. Overlapping with his heartbeat, it turned into an intense melody. The powerful heat accompanying the intensity leapt as if to break free from Konoe's body. His body felt as if it was gently floating. It was such a strong light. Konoe grit his teeth in agony, feeling all his energy being drained. While his consciousness and thoughts were painted white, he noticed his lips spun words. Konoe hazily opened his eyes. A mass of dazzling light flowed towards Asato, surrounding his body. Remarkably strong light dwelled in the sword Asato wielded. Uru grimaced in pain and stopped the hand that was clawing at his arm. Dark blood fell to the ground in large droplets. This is so amazingly made. When Asato and Kido clashed, their swords crossed. Light overflowed with an intense sound. As he cried out, Kido's green light was extinguished. Asato's sword was twice as powerful now. Kido's sword was easily sent flying from his hand. To destroy the Toga, aiming for the Sangha. When he remembered this, Konoe called out to Asato. Asato's pupils squeezed narrow with bloodlust. For an instant he looked over at Konoe. Lowering his center of gravity, Asato swung his sword around to behind him and dashed forward. His target was the Sangha, Uru. Asato let loose a beastly roar. His aim was precise as he went for his prey, his angry cry resembling the power of his huge sword. The white light exploded. The black melody was cut off. Uru's body was flung to the ground and crumpled like a piece of cloth. He was stock still. Uru gave a small spasm and, coughing violently, he began to spit up blood. Kido stiffened and called out to him. He ran to his collapsed partner. As if awoken from a spell, Asato's eyes lost their bloodthirsty color.
Uru. Uru. Oi.
Holding the body gushing blood, Kido called out, looking as if he might cry. Still wrapped in his own malady, Konoe gazed at this sight. The Toga spilled tears for his fallen Sanga. His trembling back looked awfully small. It was the figure of any ordinary cat who lost a loved one. The melody of the light gradually faded away. Because of the manifestation of the song, strong feelings suddenly surged forward into his pulsating consciousness. It was the emotion of the twin cats. A suffocating sadness and pain flowed into his chest, threatening to crush him. Asato watched Kido and Uru with a straight face. No, rather than a serious face, it was correct to say that it was indifferent. He watched curiously. How could he be so indifferent to their sadness? And then, at Asato's next action, Konoe shuddered. With both hands gripping his large sword, he sliced the wind with incredible force. He cried out in an instant. Nervously, Kido's body trembled. Asato stopped his movements and lowered his sword, then looked over his shoulder. Those eyes made Konoe's first stand on end.
どうしてダメなんだ。
サンガが潰れればトーガは戦えない。負けを認めたも同然だ。
The defeated doesn't need to be chased any further. This was an implicit rule among
こ
cats.
いつは敵だ。
I don't look like I'm about to cry the entire time.
殺さなくちゃいけない。そう教わってきた。
I have to recalibrate, it seems. At that moment, Konoe realized something. The reason made him shudder. Asato's eyes were just much too pure. He did not think twice about what it meant to take away someone's life. It was not ill will, pleasure, or fear. At the moment he recognized someone as an enemy, his target was degraded to merely an object to be destroyed. Could that be the belief of all the cats in Kira?
そうじゃない。敵だから全て殺していいってことじゃない。
でも敵は殺さなくちゃいけない。
アサト。
As Konoe was about to continue his words, the thicket beside them suddenly swayed, so he held his tongue. When he turned his gaze, he was surprised. Rai had appeared. Waiting for the moment Konoe and Asato were distracted, Kido finally made his move. Quickly taking Uru in his arms, he leapt into the grove of trees. Konoe reflexively wanted to chase after them, but he stopped.
この絵
Asato turned towards him with a pleading gaze, but Konoe shook his head.
あの双子の猫か。仕留めたのか。
サンガだけ。
Huh.
リークスは。
見失った。
Briefly murmuring this, Rai swayed his tail widely.
今
Sorry.
の猫名義の猫だった。
He furrowed his brows and stared in the direction Kido had fled. Meigi, a clan of sorcery that had a bad relationship with Kira.
名義。奴らは悪魔の狂信者たちだろう。なぜリークスの元についている？
それは昔の話だ。信仰の対象が変わったかどうかはわからない。けど最近は少し動きが変わってきていた。キラ。
Asato's eyes shone with a complex color as he glanced to the grove where Kido disappeared.
どこの猫であろうと、リークスの手下であることに変わりはない。
True.
嫌な予感がする。
As his ears flattened, Asato's expression clouded over. Then, Konoe's vision suddenly blurred strangely. He's exhausted, isn't he?
近衛
Abruptly, his knees lost their strength and gave out, and he crashed to the ground. Severe pain and fatigue struck on him.
新たな歌を発動させた。その反動だろう。
A new song? It's a new song.
どうしてそれを？
断片的にだが歌が聞こえた。一度組んだせいかもしれんな。
Okay.
くそ。いちいち。
Every time something happened, there was pain in his body. It was so troublesome.
不思議な感じがした。途中で歌の雰囲気が変わって、そうしたら剣にも体の隅々にも光が溢れていく感じがした。
何の歌だったんだ？
サンガの歌については乱戦のサンガ町にでも聞いたらどうだ。
サンガ町？
あの町の領主には代々選ばれしサンガの血筋の猫が守護としてついている。時には国の行方を左右する決断を委ねられることもある重要な存在だ。
Okay.
サンガの血筋。そんなものがあるのか。
Apparently.
修練を積んで無理やり力を引き出しているサンガだがな。純正なサンガに比べれば大したことはない。
Insignificant. Rai crossed his arms and sighed.
しかし、歌一曲でそんなざまか。情けないな。
だったらあんたが歌えよ。
無理だな。俺はトーガだ。
近衛の歌があったから勝つことができた。
You know, if so to say, Sangha and Toga in Yaoi would be like fucking top and bottom. Not gonna lie. You're either born a top or born a bottom. There's no in between. In Yaoi senses, there are, of course, in normal life, switches and stuff, but I'm talking about Yaoi! The squatting Konoe crouched, with his face looking through his knees, as if he was bothered. So Asato glared at Rai.
すごい力だった。近衛はすごい。お前よりずっと。
Strongly asserting this, Asato purred and rubbed his head against Konoe's shoulder. Rai's cold gaze intensified.
おい、くすぐったいから。
He is so adorable, I love him.
乱戦に戻るか。
なんでだよ。
一流調教師の有望感だ。
Yo! Rai, that is so offensive, man. That is so offensive. Why are you so rude?
あんたな。
Asato's not a pet! While Konoe glared at Rai in return, there was a touch of insecurity in a corner of his heart. Asato with those genuinely innocent eyes. However, an enemy was to be annihilated, this was certain. He felt he could understand, just a little bit, why Asato emitted such an intense bloodlust during battle. With these complicated thoughts, Konoe looked at the black cat snuggling against his shoulder. I wanna cry, this is amazing. Okay. Too fatigued to move anymore, Konoe decided to take a rest for the evening. At daybreak, when the moon of light rose, they'd go to their destination.